Okay, so I want to do a quick update on the moon, and coincidentally it looks like the moon is reaching the lowest portal this evening. I've been trying to watch the moon in the evenings and take pictures of it. Maybe at some point I'll try and show those, but I was checking it out in Stellarium, and if you watch, the north-south movement of the sun through the portals is like this, perpendicular to these grid lines that are running like this. So this is with the moon with respect to this line and this line and this line. Moving this way is the direction we want to watch the moon move. That north-south progression of the moon, the portal alignment. And so I'm going to move the days, and you're going to see the moon with respect to this line is reaching its lowest point. It's going to like go below and then start to head back up as I pan through these days. So see, now it's jumping onto the line. That was a few days ago, and now it's above the line. So now if I go forward, you'll see it's dipping below, and then it goes back up. So somewhere tonight, approximately tonight, or maybe it's sometime in the night, but sometime within the next 24 hours, the moon is going to hit its lowest portal position. So it's going to now begin to approach the portal that the sun is in, which is theoretically the middle. So if I zoom out, Stellarium starts to look really funny. But the cool thing is I can turn the ground off, and then I can see where the sun is. So the moon, where was the moon? Right over here. Moon, moon. So if I keep moving it, there's the sun. So now we can see exactly where the moon is with respect to the sun. And as I move through the days, I guess we're going forward now. So the moon is on this grid line. So it has to get all the way out to wherever the sun's going to be in a few days. So let's go forward. So you can see the sun is actually moving inward a little bit. But now, see, you can't see them together. And if we trace this grid line around, it's not quite there yet, so we'll go one more. There. And one more. Now, that looks pretty close. So this grid line comes around, and it's just a little outside that grid line. And this one is just a little outside this grid line. So this is what I showed you a few days ago. You know, just I recommend getting out there and just trying to take pictures. That's, I think, the best way to just learn is just to get out there and start doing it. You'll find you'll start to get a feel for it after like just 2 or 3 days of trying something, and you'll figure out what works better for you. And like one thing I realized is, you know, the moon is going to show up during the day as well. So like I realized I could be looking out my office window and watch the moon. I have a very big horizon at my office that I can watch the moon move across the sky. I don't have a big horizon at my house. I have a horrible view of the horizon at my house, actually. But at the office, I should be able to, well, at least last week anyway, I was able to get a pretty good view of the moon. But it was getting near the end of the day. I don't know if I'm going to have that opportunity to keep doing that, but depending on where you are, you might have a better chance of seeing the portal movement of the moon during the day better than during the night. Another thing I just noticed with respect to the portal alignment of the moon is if you get to know your stars, the stars are like an excellent reference point if you're measuring the moon at night. And like, I'm going to zoom in on this real quick. And I'm no expert when it comes to the stars. I'm just kind of starting out learning about the stars. But actually, we're going to go try and look for some leader stars tonight. I'm going to see what we can see in Stellarium, see if there are any stars that are leading out any of the portals on solstices or equinoxes. But it's interesting, you know. I think the pattern, the stars, the planets, I can actually see this tonight with my naked eye. I can see Saturn, I can see Jupiter, I can see this star, and then I can see these two. It looks like a little box here. So I mean, you can tell where the moon is. You can get the stars are a perfect background. Like this reference grid line is great for Stellarium, but the stars do the same thing. If you get to know your stars, you will be able to look up into the night sky and be able to tell instantly where the moon is. I mean, if we were if we weren't so far removed away from this, we should be able to very quickly look up and tell, okay, it's in this portal or this portal. But be careful, because I think the planets might actually move around, so like you'll want to make sure you're looking at actual stars or constellations, I guess, but the planets might have their own kind of pattern. But there's one more tip, or one more thought. So there's that sun. There's one more thought. Oh, I gotta get back to the 16th. So one more thought I had about this was, look at the moon. Somewhere in here, I think it's going to tell me the amount of illumination. Phase angle, sidereal day, equidistance, constellation phase, transit appearance to be elliptical. Oh man, well maybe there's another software that tells you what the illumination is. Oh wait, there it is, right here at the bottom. Get out of there. Right here, 92.2%. So I'm curious when, if I go back a day. Oh, so actually on the 14th, it's at almost full illumination. And I just Googled something out of curiosity. I've mentioned, or I've had thoughts about the harvest moon, the quote-unquote harvest moon, if you've ever looked into that, and I was just wondering if that might have anything to do with the timing of the equinox and whatnot. But the harvest moon is, I guess, a full moon, and I just Googled it, and it looks like Google is saying the harvest moon is going to be between the 13th and the 16th. So again, if I go back, looks like, yeah, the 13th, I'm approximately at 100% full moon. So I know this past spring equinox looked like we had not only a portal alignment of the moon, where the moon was matching the portal alignment of the sun, but it was also a full moon this spring, I think. So I don't know, I'm going to have to reread Enoch to see if that was something special that only happens in the spring, but I think a lot of people were thinking it might happen in the fall. But so that's where the moon is, and we're going to see. I guess we're just going to stay tuned, and we'll be doing the straight line method, and I'm sure other people will be doing several different kinds of sundial methods, and we'll see what we come up with, what day we see the straight line method, and different methods like that, and we'll see if it has any kind of correlation with either the full moon or the portal alignment of the moon. And keep in mind, this is program software, so this might not be exactly accurate, but I'm glad I noticed kind of the reference point of the stars, because now I mean, like I said, the more you do this, the more you'll get familiar with it. And so now when I look up into the night sky, I'm going to be looking for these stars, and I'm going to see where the moon has jumped, because let's see, I mean, I guess it's going to be far away from those stars now. Like, in order for me to, it's like 9:30 at night, and I was looking at it between Saturn and Jupiter. The moon was like over here somewhere. It was actually right between these two stars down here. So in order for me to see where it is around the time of the, it might never, interesting, the moon might never get there to be the same reference point. So I guess I have to know what all my other constellations are, because it's not going to come back here soon enough for me to kind of see what's going on there. Okay, well, anyway, that's interesting. That's what Stellarium says. So full moon is going to be somewhere around the 13th or the 14th, and then the portal alignment looks like it might be on the 16th. So that's just an update. Let's actually try to look. Those of you who have a clear view of the horizon far off, please try and get some pictures of the moon and the sun, or at least some pictures with some kind of a reference point in the foreground or background, so you can kind of gauge how much movement there is of the moon. The sun's going to be pretty much in the same location, but the moon jumps a lot. Like the sun, it takes an entire year for the sun to move between these portals like this, like to go from here to here. But the moon it'll move through those portals like much faster. So you should be able to see a very noticeable difference from just one day to the next. Like, watch how much movement. It's below this line that Jupiter's right under. So if I go forward, now it's above. Probably be better if I was zoomed in closer so you can kind of see. But it does move substantially in just one day's time. The elevation of it changes. So if you can reference it to something in the foreground or something on the horizon. But anyway, get out there, try. I'm sure we'll all have something good to learn this time around, but maybe we'll be able to answer some big questions as well. So that's the update on the moon. Shalom, and may Allah bless as you continually seek out His truth in love with a pure heart.